Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to my channel. Hope you're doing well. I'm going to be getting ready with you guys and I'm going to be answering your questions as well. So it's going to be like a get ready with me Q&A. I don't think I've ever done one of these before on my channel, so we're going to see how this goes. So I asked my Snapchat family to send me some questions, burning questions. If I don't answer any of your questions, it's probably because I've answered it on a previous Q&A, which you can check out up on the cards somewhere at the top. Just click the cards and it will bring down a little menu with all my Q&A videos. If there's anything that I don't answer in this video, I've probably answered it before and I don't want to kind of like repeat myself. And as I'm going to be doing my makeup, I'm not really going to be talking too much about the makeup. I'm going to be obviously focusing on the questions that I've been asked. I guess we can just do a separate video on the makeup another day. We're just going to be getting ready together and I'm going to be sort of chit-chatting, things of that nature. I've got all the questions on my phone and I've also got my makeup products in front of me, so if you see me looking at my phone, you will know why, and if you see me obviously staring down, you know why as well. So the first question I've got here is, what was your favorite getaway this year? Has definitely got to be, it's tough. So see, before I went to Bali, I would have like just naturally said like Maldives, but I really feel like I've changed my mind on that and I've got to say like Bali it's top of my list. I can't say it's my favorite, but it's definitely the top of my list. Funnily enough, do you know what? It's tough. I can't pick a favorite. I'd have to say they all like have given me different experiences. So for example, with Maldives, it was like Maldives is like a dream, once in a lifetime opportunity. For somebody like myself, of course, I never really imagined I'd be going to the Maldives so early on in my life, and it was never really like a thing that I thought about. I never really said to myself, oh, one day I have to get to the Maldives. I didn't really think of it like that. There are places in the world that are like on my list that are like, yeah, must go. Maldives was never really one of those places. Of course, I would have loved to, don't get me wrong, I would have definitely loved to go to the Maldives, but like I said, it wasn't really on must go list. Not at this point in my life anyway, it wasn't. So just having the opportunity to go for me was mind-blowing. I took away something different from each place I went to. So if I had to pick, I'd definitely say Bali, and this is only because I feel like Bali is a mix of Maldives, has like Maldivian vibes within it. Of course, they're like two different countries completely. Maldives has stuff like snorkeling and their like reefs are amazing, and scuba diving and like clear water and stuff like that, but Bali also has that. With Maldives, you're kind of restricted, so once you pick the hotel you're going to stay at or like the resort you're going to stay at, Maldives is like a Polynesia of islands. You don't really have a choice but to stay on that island, so you kind of have to pick somewhere that has everything you could possibly want on the island without having to like leave. And leaving the islands are difficult. You can't just say, oh, you know, I just want to go down to the shops. If the island ain't got a shop, you ain't going to the shop. Just want to take a stroll. If the island doesn't have, you know, like strolly vibe, then you're not going anywhere. And then Bali's got like bars and clubs and like restaurants. They've got shops that remind you of like Oxford Street but like tropical. So I just felt like I couldn't get that in Maldives. Like, so in Maldives, if you're on an island, you're on an island. Not saying you're stuck. Sure, like some places offer you the chance to be able to go visit other islands. With our experience, we weren't really able to leave the islands. We could obviously leave to go and do things around the island, but you couldn't leave to go like to the main island because what are you doing? Why? And then some places are so far away from the main island, it's like a plane ride away. Somewhere like the Maldives, you're not going with like the love of your life partner, just I'd say don't. I'd say don't go, because it's just so far and so secluded to be with people who it's not for better for worse. I've got another question. What's the biggest thing you have learnt this year? The biggest thing, number one, that Maybelline Fit Me foundation is Grwm, and this is not even hashtag ad, hashtag spawn, has definitely got to be about people. First person you should always please is yourself. I'm not saying be a selfish person, I'm just saying like the first person that you should always try and please is definitely yourself. Family afterwards. I think another thing that I've learned is don't expect too much from people. I had to learn that kind of like the hard way, or like just do you, live your best life, be unapologetically you. I think that has always kind of been in the back of my head anyway, but when you are shown certain things by certain people, you have to reiterate it to yourself. If something isn't making you happy, cut it off. If it genuinely isn't making you happy, you can make up all the excuses in the world and say things like, you know, I just don't want to hurt people, or I don't want to come across like a bitch. If it's not making you happy, get them scissors, cut it. It's not worth it, because then you're putting other people ahead of yourself, which in turn you're gonna make yourself unhappy by doing that. Focus. Hard work really does pay off, and don't let anybody make you feel bad for wanting to do things for yourself. How is it to date as a single mother, and when is it okay for anyone to meet your son? First of all, I'm not exactly a single mother. My son does have his dad in his life. I have like family who helped me out an awful lot. I think when I was much younger is when I had probably like the most issues dating. Now I'm a little bit older and I know what I want and I know what I won't tolerate. I'm also able to like adapt that to like my dating life. First and foremost, I won't let anybody ever like make me feel like shit. I know I'm a mouse woman, so if the fact that I have a child bothers you, then you shouldn't be in my life anyway. If me having a child is like an issue for you, I just won't give you this time of day. When is it okay for anyone to meet your son? That is actually a really good question, and it's something that I kind of used to ask myself. But the thing is, no two relationships are the same and no two people are the same. You just never know what the next person you meet is going to bring into your life. And if you feel like that person that you're dating, you're comfortable with them meeting your child because, for example, you guys have found that you want to get married quite quickly, or you know that you're going to move in together, then naturally they're going to meet your child soon on. Once again, it depends on everybody else. There's some people who won't let their children meet their partner for years, and that's absolutely fine. It's whatever you're comfortable with, and it's whatever you can tolerate, you know. For example, myself, I can't be with somebody, with the person several times a week. We go out an awful lot, but then when it comes to coming around to my place, I'm like hiding them away from my son. I don't really think it makes sense. So if you feel like the person can be in your home and in your personal space, then I don't see why they can't. But that's me. If I can trust the person to be in my home, where obviously my son also lives, then I must be comfortable enough for them to, you know, be introduced to my son. Not saying that they have to spend time together, but an introduction isn't necessarily a problem, especially if you know you'll want to be with that person for the long run. Once again, it's a very personal thing. It's all down to how you feel and how you feel the relationship is going. If you know that that's hubby for life, then they're gonna have to be introduced one day. It's how you do the introduction that's the most important thing, and how comfortable you make the both of them feel, because you can only imagine that your partner would obviously be very, very like nervous to meet your child. What would you say were your best 3 moments this year? All my traveling. I don't know which one to put first. Definitely all the traveling I've got to do. Like, the way God works is really, really like, sometimes when you sit back and you think about it, you're like, whoa. It was wild how like last year I was just constantly speaking to God and just constantly saying how much I'd love to travel next year, and then comes 2017, what am I doing? And this is just all by me telling God that I wanted to do it. Every time I sit back and I think about that, I just think, whoa. Number 2 has got to be like my friends. Like, 2 of my closest friends got married this year, and for me that has been like the highlight of my year. So happy. Number 1 has got to be all my children. I got a hell of a lot of children now. My sister had 2 kids in the past like 2 years. One of my like best friends, Abigail, had a baby this year, and obviously my son as well. I'm just so grateful to God that they're like all happy, they're all healthy. There's some people who pray for kids and they find that it's a lot difficult for them to have kids. I just think God has blessed me so much. I've got so many like bundles of joy like running around everywhere in different countries. Ones that I can call nieces and nephews, and ones that I can call godchildren. It's amazing. Just all the collaborations that I've been blessed to do this year. I was blessed to like work with Maybelline in the summer of this year. Although for me it was like a bit of an eye-opener. Working with them obviously meant that in some sense they wanted my face to be associated with like some of their product, which is what a blogger dreams of. Is obviously what you aspire to do when you want to work with brands and makeup companies, and when you want to collaborate with people. Somebody asked, what toothpaste do I use? And whenever my friends like see the toothpaste I use, they're always like, ew, you use that toothpaste, oh my god, it burns. I use Euthamol. It's like in a white tube. It's got like pink writing, I believe, and it burns your mouth. It's made of like all these herbs, and it absolutely sets your mouth on fire. I've done teeth whitening in the past. I've done it professionally, and I've used like at-home kits as well. I've started using the Cocoa Shine, and it's like a black powder that you put on your toothbrush, and you basically brush it around your teeth and spit it out. So I've been using that for a little bit, and I do feel like it's really, really effective. Would you ever do a meet and greet outside of London, as most YouTubers do it in London and segregate the wider England? If so, where would you go? That's a good question. I think naturally for any YouTuber you'd want to do a meet and greet in your hometown, not because you're trying to segregate the rest of the country, but just because it's easier. I would need to kind of know where everybody else is in England, and then I'd have the knowledge of where to go and how to do it, because I don't want to just go to Scotland and then there's nobody in Scotland who watches my videos. for an example. Or like, I don't know, go to Timbuktu and everyone's like, we don't know you out in Timbuktu. I know by looking at like my analytics and all that kind of stuff, I could get an idea of like where my most viewership comes from. Once again, I think it's just easier to kind of do it in your hometown. Somebody said, do I have any goals for the new year? One goal that I definitely want to stick to next year is to work out a lot more in the gym. Started a proper routine at the gym, but I do feel like I'm still not disciplined enough to have a routine at the gym and to stick to it. I want to like eat better. Reality is, yeah, when you start getting old, you need to start looking after your body, and I can't eat burgers and fries at McDonald's for the rest of my life. How did you manage to have the consistency to build your brand to where you are now? Things like building your brand, especially when you're doing it all by yourself, there's no point where you're ever done, I think. And in terms of like consistency, my consistency this year has been really bad. It's difficult to travel and to have the time to make content, upload content, have collaborations and stuff like that. So I feel like with traveling, if you're gonna say you're going to focus on traveling, then make sure your content is sort of centered around traveling. Of course, in terms of building my brand, I don't think there's ever a time where I'm like ever done building my brand. I don't think it's something that ever happened like overnight. There were different stages to my branding. Look at me, I didn't blend this in. Oh, look, I can't lie to you guys yet. I don't talk and do my makeup. When I do my makeup, I'm in silence. I just don't know how to do it. Hence why I forgot to blend my contour out. I think you just continue to kind of evolve. With every step, you realize what it is that you like and what you like to do and how you like to work. So that helps moving on to doing other things. And I also believe that things kind of fall into place when they're supposed to. For example, you can't just jump the gun on certain things. You have to experience a particular thing before you can understand how to deal with other things that you learn as you go on. You never really learn all at once. It happens bit by bit. Somebody asked, hey, I wanted to ask how you're so consistent in staying and looking beautiful all the time. That's a lie. I feel like in London there's such a high pressure to always look your best, especially in the black community as a black young girl. It can be quite hard, but I see you doing your thing all the time. But how am I so consistent in staying and looking beautiful? I don't think I do. You guys should know this. The funniest thing is, right, in my vlogs, I am usually wigless, I am usually makeupless, and I'm usually just looking a mess. My vlogs are like the truest representation of me ever, because that is me on a daily. Of course, I think presentation is very, very important. I think how you carry yourself is really important too. And I think this is actually something I say to my son. I say like you're a representation of like your family, and you're a representation, of course, of yourself. As an influencer or as a freelancer, you never know where your next job is going to come from, for example. So you don't know where your next collaboration is going to come from. And of course, if you're walking around looking like a hot mess, you're not presenting yourself right. As a human being, do what makes you happy. If sometimes you don't feel like wearing makeup to go out, then don't wear makeup. People think I wear makeup every day. I don't. By the time I wake up in the morning, get my son up for school, that means I need to wake up even earlier to paint my face and then get started my day. I can't. I feel like the priorities are very, very different for different people. If you know you have the time to wear makeup all the time, then good on you. But some people just don't. So I try not to let that bother me, and I don't feel any kind of pressure to like do that either. So to answer your question, I think it is very important to look your best whenever you can. You want to obviously come across as the best you can, no matter where you go. But don't put pressure on yourself to constantly slay. Have days off, but don't put pressure on yourself to like be on point every day of the week. It's unrealistic. Start off low budget. Start off with what you can afford. Don't try and like do all out with things that you know that you don't have the money for. It's just unrealistic again. If you're going on a trip with your girls, why don't you consider like blogging it? If you're just going on a weekend away to maybe another city, why not start blogging it? Do it that way. Are you an organized person? If so, how do you stay organized? I am not the most organized person. I think in terms of like my workload and stuff, sometimes if I am really, really like pressed for time, I am able to get things done in good time because I set aside realistic time. So I always make sure it's realistic. If I know it's going to take me longer than anticipated, I will start sooner than later. And I think just being a mum, you kind of have to be organized. When you're a mum, you have to make sure you know what you're doing when you're doing it. You're kind of miles ahead because you're not just thinking for yourself, you're sort of thinking for another person, and you're, you know, organizing your day or your schedule around another person. I think that's another key as well. When you're a mum, you have no choice but to be organized. How can someone like me look good like you on a budget? See, that kind of question is like, what do you think my budget is? Like, do you think I'm spending like grands and grands to look good? And what is looking good? Looking good to you might just be powder, foundation, eyebrows and eyeliner, lipstick. That might be looking good, but for me, it's powder, it's highlight, it's contour, it's this and it's that. So it depends on how good you want to look, and I think people look good without makeup on. People look good without like expensive wigs, and it's all about what you want to achieve. And another thing I'll say, never compare yourself to somebody that you see every so often on the internet. You never know what that person is going through. You never know what that person has done to achieve how good they look, so to speak. Never compare yourself to someone else's looking goodness. If that makes any sense. And somebody said, do you have any advice for someone who's 18 currently in college? One advice that I do give to my son now is pay as much attention as possible. Pay attention, because as funny as it is, when I was in college and when I was in school, I was pregnant in college, by the way. College UK, which is A-levels. So I went to university, and obviously I went through university and everything, but I was just never the type of person to pay enough attention. I didn't focus enough in school, which now I wish was very, very different. Like, I really, really wish I was a lot more focused in school. I wish that my grades were just that tiny bit better. When you know that you can push yourself to a certain extent and then you see your grades, you just think, well, you really just took the piss, like you're really just playing around. So I really do wish I could have done that little bit more, just to pay a bit more attention and to focus and to be a little bit more focused. Just be a little bit more focused. Do everything you can do in university, college to succeed, and everything else that's supposed to come after will come. Like all the guys and all the games and all the going out and all the clubbing. You're going to club until you get tired of clubbing. So there's time to do all of that. Be the best you can be, because education, well, for us anyway, it's free to some extent, but you want to obviously get the most out of it that you can whilst you're there and whilst you're still young, you know? You then go back and be doing things again because you didn't pay attention when you were younger. Just get it, like, knock it out the park the first time and don't have to think about it ever again. Somebody asked, ideally, how soon would you like to have another baby if you plan to? Because you're so good with babies on your snap. I'm assuming you want another one. LOL. As soon as God says so. When I was much younger, I kind of did everything, I wouldn't say the wrong way round, but I didn't do it the most conventional way. So obviously I didn't get married, I didn't have a child, I had the child and I'm still not married. I think it's when I feel like I'm at a good place, when I'm married and I'm settled and we're both ready to have children, that's when that's gonna happen, but not anytime before. So my question is, are you in a relationship? If yes, will we ever see him on your channel? Good question. I am in a relationship. I just think people are like so amazed that I'm in a relationship. You guys, it's really not that big a deal. People get into relationships all the time. They get in and they get out of relationship. People get married, people fall in love. It's not my first relationship since I've had my YouTube channel. I've never been the one to share details of my relationship to the public. First of all, terrible repercussions when it doesn't go right. Also, there's just some things that you should just keep to yourself. I just don't think it's everything that should be public knowledge. Will he ever make an appearance on my channel? Probably not. If you get married, I don't see why not, but before then, you just need to protect what's yours. And relationships are hard as it is when they're not in the public. Imagine like just putting everything out there for people to scrutinize and for people to talk about and for people to, you know, throw shade at, and you just don't need that. So yeah, no, there won't be any boyfriend tags, there won't be any, you know, my boyfriend does my makeup, and if there is, you're probably not going to see his face. So that's just a heads up, so please don't be angry. Another question, how do you separate yourself from friends that are negative and not trying to do good for themselves? The thing is, I don't think there's a problem with you having a friend who's a bum, but of course if it bugs you keeping that person as a friend and you've discussed it with them, there's no issue separating yourself. Make it known to them the reason why you're doing it and keep it moving. You know, it's obviously for personal reasons and it's obviously because you feel like you guys can't relate to each other. I think the best thing to do is like make them know your reasons and obviously make them understand that you look, this is what you're doing that I don't like, and for that reason, you know, I'm sorry, but for myself I'm gonna have to just like cut it. Life is too short to spend on people who don't appreciate you. Girl, if you gotta kick it to the curb, kick it all the way to the curb. How did you learn to be so confident? Have you always been that way, or did you grow into a wonderful woman that you are? So I think I've always been very, very confident. I do remember a time when I was in like primary school and I wasn't very confident at all. I think I just used to compare myself to a lot of people and I'd say, you know, why does she have like long hair and I don't? This was me comparing myself to a Caucasian person, by the way. Why does she have long hair and I don't? You know, why has she got a slimmer nose and I don't? Why is she, you know, like, why is her skin so much much better than mine. And I compare myself to, you know, girls of my colour. Deep down, I've always been a confident person. Like, I know everybody has insecurities and everybody has like things that they don't like about themselves, or people compare themselves to each other all the time, even in the slightest. Like, we all do it. I've always naturally been that way, but at the same time, I do think being a YouTuber and being an influencer has definitely made me see myself in a different light. I think you really, like, self-love is a very, very difficult thing to comprehend, and I think if you don't understand how to love yourself wholly, then you will never really be happy, because one day you compare yourself to somebody and it just brings you down. Everything about yourself is unique. Everything about your personality is there for a reason, and you should just embrace it. And in terms of confidence, I think it takes a while. You take baby steps in different situations, and that will definitely help you build your confidence into what you feel like you need to adapt to where you are, to your friends, to your work, and things of that nature. It's not something you like learn overnight. I think it's definitely gradual. I do believe it starts from just loving and appreciating yourself exactly the way you are, and then from then nobody can make you feel bad about yourself. Do you feel any pressure to uphold a professional face or presence at all times, and how do you deal with that? No, not at all. I don't feel any kind of pressure to like be anything. Like I said in the beginning of the video, I think it's important to remember what you do and how you need to present yourself for that. If you work in a corporate setting, then of course you need to make sure you're presentable whenever you go into that corporate setting. If you work for a particular company but in the weekend you're twerking and you want to put it on Instagram, I don't think that's the best place to share that type of content. So yeah, I do kind of find it important to be able to present yourself in a certain way. I don't like it when people like to paint black girls with this, oh, she's just a typical black girl. I don't like that. I don't think there is a typical black girl, and I don't think that typical black girl thing should even be it shouldn't be a statement, because there is no such thing as a typical black girl. I don't necessarily feel any pressure. I think I've always been the type of person to want to look good. I've always been really, really girly amongst my friends. I only really started wearing trainers 3 years ago. I've got like the most pairs of trainers that I've ever had in my life now. I've always been that kind of girly type. Now, of course, I'm still quite like rough around the edges. I bloody well grew up in East London, but no, I don't feel like there's any pressure. The only thing I pressurize myself for is just to get work done, to make sure like my next bit of content is better than the last. So I have to maintain a certain aesthetic for Instagram. I think my only aesthetic for Instagram is that the pictures are clear, they're clean, and they look nice. I don't really like go for a certain look or a certain style or like whatever. I just have to make sure that they look like they're shot very, very clean. Once you put them up on your feed, that they look like they're not out of place, so that they look good. Oh, somebody asked, where do I store my wigs? Now guys, listen, in a drawer. I literally store it in my chest of drawers. The ones that I'm not wearing or that I don't plan to wear anytime soon, I put them away in a particular drawer. They're either like in boxes, or they are literally just like rolled up in a net and they're in the drawer. The ones that I wear from time to time, so for example like my red one I'm gonna wear today, those ones that I wear very, very often, I keep them in a cupboard laid flat. So I haven't quite come up with the best way to store my wigs, not just yet, but when I do, I will be sharing it with you guys. What are your closet staples, your must-haves? My must-haves like vary from time to time, so depending on the time of the year, but I'll start with must-haves, which are like jeans. I think you should have a good pair of jeans that can last you like all year round. You want jeans that look good in the winter, and you want jeans that look good in the summer. Summer jeans I'd say are like light wash blue jeans, and you want like a good pair of black jeans. For the summer I'd also say maybe cute crop tops. Staple for winter has definitely got to be a turtleneck. So a black turtleneck or a white turtleneck long sleeve always comes out every single year. A plain white tee is definitely always very, very good. A really, really thick jumper that you can trust, that you can go back to year after year. I have all those things I've just named. Somebody asks, what qualities do you look for in a future partner, and how many children do you want to have plus Coco? First and foremost, obviously because I'm a mum, that person obviously has to be acceptant of the fact that I'm a mum, are also willing to, you know, inevitably become somebody's stepfather. I always think about things like what are their plans for the future and how much does it align with my plans for the future. They obviously have to make me laugh. They have to have like a good sense of of humor, they have to enjoy traveling, they have to know the importance of saving money, obviously take me out. But for me, the most important is that they have to like be God-fearing. They have to be a God-fearing man who goes to church. I like somebody who's family oriented. I like somebody who is very close with their family, siblings and all stuff like that. And obviously I want somebody who wants kids. I look for somebody who likes children and wants kids, because I don't want to be with somebody who like in 5 years time they're like, actually I don't want to have any children. I'm like, well, you just, how many children do I want to have? Altogether, maximum 3, maximum, which means I'd have 2 more. Although it was only up until very, very recently that I said I'd only want 1 more child. Being realistic, I think I could do only 2 more. So that's including Coco, 3. What is your favorite foundation? My favorite foundation at the moment is definitely Maybelline Fit Me. That is like my staple foundation. I have been using it for a good few months now, and I really like it. Really like it. I am in love with it, and it's not too heavy, it's not too thick, it blends so easily, and the coverage is good. Very good coverage. 2 questions. How many countries have you been to this year, and how did you find the holidays? I believe the first place I went to was, I don't know if I went anywhere in January. February, I went to Nice. March, I believe I went to Amsterdam. I loved Amsterdam. Amsterdam was amazing. And I went back to Amsterdam again in April. So I went back to Amsterdam twice in April. First Amsterdam trip was with work, and the second one was just a girls' weekend trip. And in May, I went to the Maldives. I went to the Maldives in like mid to end of May. That was work. June, I went to Croatia. That was a holiday, so that was a little trip away. And then after that, I went to Morocco. That was purely work. July, we went to Barcelona. That was a girls trip because that was Tola's hen do. And then end of July, we went to Dubai. So it was like a couples trip. That was a holiday. August, I don't think I went anywhere. September, I don't think I went anywhere. I just didn't really want to go anywhere that time of year. I wanted to kind of stay with family because I had Bali coming up in October, and that was like a 2-week trip. That was also for work. But November, I went to Paris. So I recently came back from Paris, and that was a getaway. December, I'm in Dubai for Christmas with my family. What has been your biggest challenge this year, and how did you overcome it? Definitely got to be just overcoming like my insecurities, because I did feel very insecure at certain times of this year, especially when I started comparing myself to certain people and I was feeling like I don't fit the script, so to speak. Kind of went through that. I learned to see past it, and it was sort of the challenge that I set myself, to be honest. After I did the Maybelline campaign was when I was probably at my lowest. From then on, I wasn't interested in kind of like even putting on makeup to make me feel better. Like nothing made me feel happy. Nothing made me feel happy about myself. It was until maybe like a few months after that, contacting brands to collaborate with, and then, you know, the Bali thing came through for me. That was like a positive thing that hit me, and it made me feel like amidst all the things that kind of have gotten me down, I have able to kind of successfully executed this. And even before I traveled out to Bali, before I actually went there, went back into the gym, I started eating properly, and I was just trying to do everything else to make me feel positive about how I felt rather than just dwelling in negativity. So I mean, I changed my hair color, I got a new wig that was red. It helped, it worked. I think it definitely changed my mindset. It made me take the focus away from what I didn't like. I have great people around me who are doing amazing things, people around me who are, you know, like gonna become moms and getting married and stuff like that. So I kind of focused on all the positives around me. How do you maintain your wig while at the gym? Do you reapply the lace glue? Girl, I don't even wear a wig to the gym. Ain't nobody got time for that. I don't got time. I don't got time. Oh, somebody asked, when am I coming to New York? When am I gonna come back to New York? Listen, I will come to New York the moment you send me a ticket. The moment you find me somewhere to live, I'll be in New York. New York is so expensive, guys. Like, New York is mad expensive. Hang tight, you lot that live out there, innit? Because bruh, where's most expensive, like London or New York? What are your tips on motivating yourself when life is getting you down? You always come across as such a go-getter, and I admire how you're able to balance it all with being a great mother to your son. People have different reasons that keep them motivated. Some people's motivation might be money, some people's motivation might be what they're planning for in the future, other people's motivation might just be the pleasure that they get from doing what they're doing at the time. My motivation has got to be like a mix of all of those things. I don't think you should ever like sell yourself short. Freelance, or you're an influencer or a YouTuber and you want to turn it into a business, you should definitely think about ways to monetize your content, earn from what you do. At the end of the day, bills aren't going to get paid themselves. And just thinking about plans that I kind of have for the future, the only way that that can be achieved is if I go through what I do now. So that's another motivation, like making sure if I want to get to this place I need to do X, Y, and Z. So setting goals is very important. It's a big personal motivator. When you set yourself a goal and you found that you've achieved it, you just feel so much better about yourself and you feel so productive. I'm definitely motivated by my son, and I just want him to have like the best life and the best chance at everything, really. And of course, people that watch my videos say they're inspired by me. Young mothers who are like figuring out how to balance everything. I constantly want to give you guys the best that I can produce, and I'm always trying to push the bar on things. So if I feel like I've done something already, I would always want to push that bar, which challenges me, and that's always a great thing. It's always good to feel like you're getting better and better at what you do. That comes from you guys. That's the motivation that you guys give me. And how funny is that? We have run out of questions. I was probably ready to like keep talking, but we've run out of questions. God is so good. So we're pretty much done with the questions. So thank you so much for joining me on this Get Ready With Me Q&A. I wanted to do a Q&A because I find that I do them every single year. It's kind of a good way to just update you guys on my life and what I've been up to. And rather than me just like sitting down and like chatting, it's good if you guys had the questions and asked me. Thank you guys so much for watching, and don't forget to follow me on Snapchat, where you can obviously be up to date with everything that I do from day to day. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram as well, which is going to always be, I believe it's up here, which is always going to be plastered somewhere in all my videos, so you have no excuse. If you're not following me, please make sure you do. Please let me know what you thought of this video, and if you have any more questions that I may not have answered, do leave them in the comment section below and I'll try my best to answer the questions. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. Thanks a lot guys, and I'll see you next time. Bye.